You know, once in a while, on here on YouTube, we try and get a bit of like entertainment or light relief by searching out like people who are intellectually retarded or people who've got arguments that don't quite stack up. Or me just like have a laugh at them. So that's what I'm doing today.
2,000 years ago, the son of a desert god came to Earth on a sightseeing trip. But
well, okay, that's a great way of starting a video. The son of a desert god came down to Earth on a sightseeing trip. Now, where is any of that actually corroborated within the New Testament? I mean, the motivation here, a sightseeing trip, is like, I know, let's just pop on down to Earth and see basically what it's all about. Yeah, just like, hey, there's a mountain, there's a tree. Oh, isn't that nice? I'll take a few photographs and I'll show it to Dad when I go back and see him. No. Secondly, was the God of the Old Testament a desert god? This is just like one of those things that people like to throw in. Basically, not really. If the title given to this particular desert god is Master of the Universe, through some forms of religious interpretations, including those that go back to some of the earlier interpretations of Judaism, then precisely why would this purely be a desert god when in fact the title of Master of the Universe does not just hold itself to like a desert region or anything purely to do with sand. So essentially within the first few seconds of this particular video, although yes, I can admit this particular video was made for comedic effect, it is based purely upon lies. So essentially it is taking the piss out of lies or misrepresentations. Okay, misrepresentation, straw man argument, logical fallacy. So it's using dishonest tactics as a means for generating humor. Very political, very interesting, very dishonest.
due to a technicality, he was unfalsely crucified for the crime of not claiming to be the mortal who wasn't.
What? Well, according to some interpretations of the story, actually according with the story, he was crucified because some people got pissed off because they thought that he could not be who some other people claimed that he was. So it's more a question of other people's claims, right? But on the other hand, was this false or was this true? For those who take the prophetic interpretation of Christianity, he was not falsely crucified. He was crucified in accordance with a particular message and a desire to express that particular message. Okay, he had to die in order for the next stage of human societal evolution, so to speak, to occur. So it was a symbolic act as well as a literal act of sacrifice for the purposes of generating a society which was not purely litigiously based, but was based upon some better qualities or better ideas. And some people would even say that's maybe where Reform or moderate Judaism has come from. That's one particular interpretation, of course. So currently we're at 10 seconds into this video, and already we can see where the truth lies and where the fiction lies, and I've been recording for about 3 minutes 47.
You heard me. Undeterred, he promptly came back as a zombie.
Wait. Undeterred, he came back as a zombie. So, is that also corroborated by the text, or indeed by the views of those who are in fact of the Christian faith? Certainly not. The text itself speaks about Christ returning, or the individual from the New Testament story returning, and people such as Mary not being able to quite recognize him. There's no mention of there being like the stench of the grave. There is no mention of any skin peeling or any other signs of decay. There is a mention in one of the books in the New Testament of Jesus Christ returning in a new or a different form to some of the believers at the time. But as far as did he return as a zombie, that certainly is not corroborated at all. So essentially, that's not even a misrepresentation. That is essentially an out-and-out lie. It's not a misrepresentation because there's nothing there which could actually be used to say this was a zombie. Okay, there's no information within the New Testament to say that this is a zombie creature. Alright, the only thing we can say is that this individual was crucified and actually came back to life. But essentially, if you actually read the words ascribed to Pontius Pilate in the New Testament, you can start to think that maybe Pontius Pilate was doing something a little more underhand, and could possibly even have faked the crucifixion of Jesus Christ, put the body in the tomb for him to recuperate, and maybe the bathing of oils was essentially there to try and heal the body to a certain degree, and then to allow him to walk free after a period of time, possibly because Pontius Pilate had an idea that maybe, just maybe, the Roman region within the Middle East would in fact be a little easier with a different ideology that was in charge of it. So maybe there's another form of politics happening there. That's only speculation, but essentially some of that speculation could possibly be worthwhile. So let's carry on with the video and see if there's anything else I could bother to comment upon.
Prophesied that he would return. Well,
what about the prophecy of him returning? Although it is said in some passages that Jesus will return, and in his own words he was talking about coming back at the end of a age or a period, we still don't know whether he was in fact speaking allegorically or whether he was speaking factually. Modern day Christians of certain types and denominations interpret this as being a desire to maintain a certain level of readiness, namely to live in accordance with some of the better views and values which are being expressed within the New Testament, not necessarily those which are negative. Of course, you've got to think more about what red letter Christianity is about, which means taking into account the words of Jesus Christ, not necessarily the words of any other character within the New and or Old Testament, or indeed those who have actually wrote or written, so to speak, the New and or Old Testaments. So that goes contrary to the writings of certain bits of Deuteronomy, Leviticus, and of course some of the Gospels when they're talking about the subjugation of women. Alright, so essentially here we are about 18 seconds into this video by Thunderf00t, and I've given you over 7 minutes worth of commentary pointing out how much shit, misrepresentation, lies and hooey basically comes out of the mouth of this individual whose channel strapline is science and education for the win. With some education, we can see that this scientist is a loser. And as far as owning Christianity, he's far from it. Because essentially for him to own Christianity, so to speak, or pwn, whatever the word is in internet speak these days, however it appears on urbandictionary.com, I don't know, I haven't had a look at that for a long time, he would actually have to be referring to some facts gained out of some variety of education, which of course he hasn't done. I'm a fortune teller. By profession, I'm a fortune teller. And I'm much more interested in an educated outlook than Thunderf00t. Not much more I can say there, is there?